Imagine standing before a cheering crowd and announcing that, with a single signature, you have taken control of one of the most valuable waterways on Earth. Now imagine that two powerful European nations become so furious that they secretly begin planning an invasion. That is exactly what happened on July 26, 1956. The man making the announcement was Gamal Abdel Nasser, the president of Egypt. And the object at the center of the crisis was the Suez Canal. At first glance, the Suez Canal might appear to be nothing more than a long strip of water cutting through the Egyptian desert, but it was one of the most important transportation routes in the world. The canal connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. It allows ships traveling between Europe and Asia to avoid sailing thousands of additional miles around the southern tip of Africa. In 1956, the canal was approximately 175 kilometers long. Through this narrow waterway passed commercial goods, military supplies, and enormous quantities of oil headed toward Europe. The canal was located entirely inside Egypt, but Egypt did not truly control it. The company operating the canal was dominated by British and French interests. For many Egyptians, it represented a national resource controlled by foreigners, and Gamal Abdel Nasser intended to change that. He wanted Egypt to build its own future. Nasser had risen to power after the 1952 revolution. He was charismatic, ambitious, and determined to lead the Arab world to true independence. At the center of his vision was the Aswan High Dam, a project that would modernize the economy and prove that Egypt could build its own future. But this was the height of the Cold War. Nasser's refusal to pick a side and his arms deals with the Soviet bloc made the West increasingly dangerous. On July 19, 1956, the US and Britain withdrew their funding. It was meant to humiliate Nasser, but he was already preparing a dramatic response. 1 week later, Nasser stood before a massive crowd in Alexandria. He spoke for hours about colonialism and Egypt's struggle for dignity. He repeated the name de Lesseps, a secret signal. While he spoke, Egyptian teams were already moving to seize the canal's offices. Nasser declared the canal nationalized. Profits would no longer go to foreign shareholders. They would build the Aswan Dam. To millions, it was liberation. Nasser became a hero overnight, but the empires he challenged were already plotting their revenge. While Egyptians celebrated, the reaction in London and Paris was different. British Prime Minister Anthony Eden was furious. France was equally determined. They were already angry with Nasser for supporting Algerian rebels fighting for independence from French rule. Britain and France shared a common objective: remove Nasser. That reason emerged through a secret arrangement with Israel in October 1956. The plan was simple. Israel would invade Sinai, and Britain and France would then order both sides to withdraw, acting as neutral peacekeepers. In reality, they intended to bomb Egypt and occupy the canal. On October 29, 1956, Israeli forces invaded the Sinai Peninsula. Britain and France issued their planned ultimatum. When Egypt rejected it, their aircraft attacked Egyptian targets and moved toward the canal. Militarily, the operation appeared successful. The Egyptian military was under intense pressure from superior European equipment and experience. But politically, the invasion was becoming a disaster. The plan angered both of the world's emerging superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. President Eisenhower demanded an end to the operation. When Britain resisted, the United States applied severe financial pressure. Washington made it clear, support for the British currency would be withheld unless the invasion stopped. The old empires were vulnerable. By 1956, Britain and France could no longer conduct major operations against the wishes of the United States. The imperial age was over. Under pressure, they accepted a ceasefire. Their troops eventually withdrew, followed by Israeli forces after international negotiations. Politically, Nasser emerged as the winner. Egypt retained control of the canal, and his reputation across the Arab world grew enormously. The Aswan High Dam was later built with Soviet assistance and Egyptian revenue, a powerful symbol of a nation building its own future. The Suez Crisis inspired nationalist movements everywhere. It proved that the old European powers could be challenged and defeated. It was a struggle over who had the right to control a nation's resources. All of it began with one speech on July 26, 1956. If you enjoy discovering the moments when history turned, please like and subscribe. Thank you for exploring the Suez Crisis with us.